and he's currently retired. And Jay spends his time now currently working with the the Holistics group. And he's a devoted Mahatma and participant in the Jay Satchidanand Sangh for 30 years. And
Thank you.
all right. He's also the dad of my best friend since I've known him since 2, so I've known him for a long time.
Only 19 years.
Sorry, I have to speak with you need a power nap time, you know. But basically, my experience with Dada Bhagwan, perception totally changed. The way I was believing self-realization is nothing but to become more financially independent and take care of the family and on health, stuff like that. The whole self-realization concept totally changed when Dada Bhagwan showed that your I and my is mixed up. So what Dada did is separate those my and I. So I become a pure soul, observing the things, including myself, and then on, he answered a lot of questions. First is that when you talk about family, what is family? Family is where you are born. You don't know what the name you're going to get for yourself and the place you're going to born. So it all depends with the cause and effect of the science. Basically, when you look at the place, family born like Ambani brothers, his sons doesn't have to work. Some of the person like us, we have to build our own destiny. And some of the Swami like Swami, he was telling that he got $0 in his pocket when he left India and came to Los Angeles. That shows the power of the self-realization. When you have that power, for me, for example, if I have to go to London, I have to ask my wife, so these things is because of my problem, not her problem. So those are the things where you are born, your name bearer is all related with the cause and effect of the past deeds, good karmas. You know, like Swami said that some of the people have worked really hard and they can get into it, but some people barely works and they make lots of money for the family. So whole perception was mixed up before, like doership, ego, and all the anxiety, worries is all separated now. I observe myself daily basis and see what's happening, what karmas come to me and how to tackle it. Because I am right now is a observer and knower. Then my mind, body, speech, as well as my nearby, whoever come in circumstances, I face them with a positive mind. So basically the self-realization principle is totally changed my life. Like Dr. Sailesh Vakil said that before we were thinking about all the egos involved and other stuff. And once you have this knowledge of Dada Bhagwan and now more understanding through Kanu Dadaji, was able to perceive the things as they are. And so I am in a process of developing realization, self-realization to understand that how the cause and effect occurs. You know, one event I gave you when I was in college in India. One of my best friend, he has an automobile accident. He was engaged. He was ready to come to America, and all these questions I couldn't answer myself. With the self-realization mind, now I can relate to that event and say that his karma was destined for that particular time. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Jayant Patel. Our next guest is Dr. Asha Nath. She is a resident of Orange County for a long time, and she met the holistic scientist Dada Bhagwan in 1987 at Corona and received self-realization of her true self. She is very active in social and religious activities. 2 years ago, she met the holistic scientist Kanu Dadaji and rejuvenated her self-realization. Ever since, her experience of daily living and mental peace has had a profound change. She currently enjoys and participates in spiritual enrichment gatherings very actively. Without further ado, Dr. Asha Nath.
Thank you very much. Jai Satchidanand, everybody. Oh, I have missed a few of you, but that's okay. Now, you are Dada Bhagwan family for me, most of you at least, and I am extremely happy about that. Why I am happy is, where else someone will go out of the way to tell, as I was told by few Dada Bhagwan friends, devotees, that Asha, you have to work on your ego. Now, can you believe this? Where else can you hear? I thought I was perfect, and so that was not ego, it was a fact. But no, I was told where all I go wrong and how I go wrong, and so there is a room of improvement in this group. And and you don't even have to pay for it. Think about it. They really care for you, and so they tell you where you need improvement. So no, I am extremely happy to be experiencing all this. And unfortunately, after meeting Ambalal, the Dada Bhagwan in 80s, I did not continue. I wish I would have. Why I didn't continue is that time I was working on Indo-US peace movement. So both countries were much more important than just me, Asha. So it was put on hold with Dada's permission, obviously. So I would like to share with you some incidents which happened after meeting Dada Bhagwan. One day, my late husband and I, we were driving in an area where hardly any police car comes. Totally bare, in the mountains and all that. Hardly any off-ramps, no one would stop for you to help you and all that. In that situation, our car broke down, and my husband said, all night now we are, doomed here. So obviously I started praying, and guess what happens? Within few minutes, somebody stopped, and not only stopped, they stayed with us, corrected the problem, and spent hours with us till we were in a garage who could fix the car. And they didn't even accept any, cash I tried to give and all that. They said, no, we help each other, no problem there. So a lot of incidents like that. And one incident happened was, because of that experience with Dada Bhagwan, is, we were in a car. Some of you have heard that. But it is such a big thing, so I have to share. And the driver collapsed completely, right on the wheel. And my friend was sitting next to him, and I was behind. Imagine going on freeway where you cannot reach the steering wheel or brake, nothing. And the car is going full speed, and still, the prayers worked so beautifully. There was a huge truck right behind us within seconds, blocking 2 lanes because our car was swinging like this. And can you believe? And stayed with us till we came to stop for miles and miles. One after the other. And some of the best friends I have received, I have met, and we continue, are from Dada Bhagwan group. I would like to have many more, that's a different story, And I don't get much opportunity to make friends because they never get to know me. I don't get to spend time with them because life is so busy these days, as you know. And I'm definitely looking for more friends from the group, but a handful, those who I have, they go out of the way to make my life easier. Unbelievable. We go to satsangs, and no matter how busy they are, they still make time for you. I love the masala tea. So one of my Dada Bhagwan sisters, she would make tea by the time I get to her house for satsang, the tea is there. The love they give, the understanding they show, it's fascinating experience really. Like today you have seen, how down to earth everyone is, no pretense, no flattering or building your ego and all that. No, 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 no. How should I say? So if next life I have, I would like to follow Dada Bhagwan's teachings from childhood, because all my faiths, I am interfaith by the way. I don't stick to one group. Okay, so no matter which satsang I am going to, because of Dada Bhagwan's background, I can understand it, appreciate it, and follow. So Gita I can follow very well, and the same way Bible, it doesn't matter where you are. And so thank you Dada Bhagwan, I love it. Bye bye and Jai Satchidanand.
Very much, Dr. Ashranath. Okay, so now it's time for me to do my experience. I guess I'm better at introducing other folks than I would myself, but I'll try to keep it brief. Again, my name is Parth Patel. I'm currently a practicing doctor of physical therapy in Newport Beach in Huntington Beach, California. I've been practicing for about 3 years, and I'm happy I found my passion. I love what I do. I've been involved with just the holistic science since I was 2 years old, since 1987 when my parents first got to meet Dada Bhagwan, and so since that time I've just been in this ever since. So I don't really have any profound impacts or experiences because it's just kind of part of who I am. But there were so many lessons and concepts and values that this science spreads over. Some of the main things that I feel that can, at least everybody else can relate to, is, from my understanding, is the theory of karma and how I use that to really accept every single incident that comes in throughout my day. And I would use the word accept and not tolerate, because acceptance just means to fully give in, and that comes from a place of understanding. And this science comes from, once you understand it, you can accept it. And it doesn't mean I understand everything, because trust me, I know nothing about, I'm just doing my best every day, trying to learn a little bit more. And so, when you understand karma, it teaches you how to be happy throughout every single event, whether it's good or bad. You want to actually transcend the concept of good or good and bad karma. It's just karma. Everything is as it is. And so when you accept it, whether it's you get in an auto accident, you get a fender bender on the way to work, well, maybe that fender bender might have prevented you from a bigger accident or whatever it was. You kind of have to look at the entire picture. And I use these little understandings to get through my day. Whatever it is, it's all part of the day. It's supposed to be as it is. I'm just doing my best, from my viewpoint as a pure soul, to simply observe the drama of life. And I'm going to do my best to play the best character or role I can. Doing this also frees me from expectations of others, which is the biggest freedom, because we don't need to expect anything from others except from ourselves. And this has now allowed me, especially as a practitioner, to fully focus away from myself, because I understand, doing my best to understand myself, to fully focus on somebody else at that time. And you get what you've given. And if you can give and focus on giving, nature tends to take care of those that give. And it's just very simple. Life's just been very easy when I've just been focusing on doing my best to make others happy, at ease, taking away pain, whether it's through my job, or even just talking to a stranger about whatever's going on in their life, or a patient or a friend. And so these little concepts of just accepting and understanding the mechanics of how things play out it relieves me of expectations, which is great, because then you can just accept and observe and simply be. So that is my experience with the holistic science, just one of the many things that I can share with you in 5 minutes. Okay, so I just need to get one more note so I can introduce the next speaker. Okay. So our next speaker is Peter's mom, Serafina Samarco. She has recently penned her emotionally charged memoir, of her teenage daughter Isabella's illness and passing, Isabella's journey. She's going to talk about life's stumbling blocks and that are incorrect viewpoints and ignorance. So please make a warm welcome for Sarafina Samarco.
Evaluation sheets are on us, but
And first of all, I would like to give my thanks for your invitation. And like you, Pat, I don't like to talk about myself, so I always avoid that topic as well. But in my talk today, in regards to my personal experience, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. And that is that I come from a very large family. I'm an immigrant from Italy. I am the 8th of 9 children. So I learned from very early in life that life is not always fair, so it is what it is, so I accepted that. So when I came about with my challenges later on, I just simply accepted. So that has helped me through the years. And as a child, I also was quite ill, not knowing what was wrong with me at that time. But one thing that I do remember that my mother always emphasized, and that was that even though I was not physically that well, but boy, she used to say to me, you sure lack, and what you lack in physical health, you make up for it in your willpower to do things. So that again, that was another very good lesson for me to learn, which again, I used it through the years. I then married at a very young age. Well, nowadays we call it a young age, but I married at 20, and to a wonderful man who I am still married to this day after 47 years next week. At 21 I had Peter, and 23 I had a little girl. And before I even started my family, we, as immigrants, we helped each other. We helped each other's families. So I welcomed into my household 2 of my husband's younger brothers. And we were a family already. And then, of course, with Peter coming along and my daughter coming along, we were very, very happy, and you just did what you had to do. However, that changed very quickly as to how we were going to adjust. And the reason I did choose this topic today, because stumbling blocks are not necessarily stumbling blocks, but rather they are life experiences. And mine was definitely an eye-opener. They are incorrect stumbling blocks, because I find that many people, they can't get outside of themselves and say, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And again, if we look at it as life lessons, then it is what it is, again. So, like I said, we were a happy family until, and we continue to this day to live the best way we know how, in spite of our experiences. When I was 23 and I had my daughter, at 8 months, she became ill. She slowly was showing signs that something was wrong. And of course, the family doctor says, no, nothing is wrong. And my mother, being a mother, actually, she gave birth to 11 children and raised 9 of them. She says, Serafina, I don't care what your family doctor says. Bring your daughter to the emergency, because she's not looking well. And we were preparing that weekend for her baptism, and it's a big thing. So we had food galore, and we had company, we had out-of-town guests, we have a big family, maybe 50 people or more. But come Friday, in this horrendous storm, thunderstorm, my husband decided, okay, let's take her to the hospital. So we went to the emergency. We even ended up going to the wrong hospital. We thought we were going to the children's hospital. We went to another hospital. That's how bad it was. She was then diagnosed with thalassemia major the next day. And for any one of you that doesn't know what thalassemia major, I did not know about it until her diagnosis. Okay, and that was many years ago. At 8 months, she was near death already. And through her life, I would say that from a scale of a 1 to 10, suffering this illness, she was definitely a 9. That's how many times she was so close to death and so many challenges in the course of her lifetime. Now, I think that right now thalassemia is being treated differently, and we have had really good successes in leading, for patients to lead a fairly normal life. But at that time, it was virtually unknown. So when I was told that she needed to have blood transfusions, to me at that time, I was so ignorant at the concept that I said, well, that's fine, it doesn't sound too bad. Okay, you can get transfused and off you go. But it's not quite so simple. As a result of the transfusions, in order for these children to survive, they accumulate excess iron in their system. So the other treatment is to get rid of the iron. Well, that's a process on its own. And I see some people understand what we're going through. And right now, science has come up with a couple different products that can be ingested orally, which is great. But still, not everybody can tolerate it, number one. And number two, they still find that the old method, which is through a form of an injection, an IV, through a period of 8 to 9 hours a night, and the children sleep with this, that eliminates some of the excess iron. And even getting this chelation therapy and this chelation drug admitted in our province was a huge process. So my family, including my daughter, lobbied to get it into our province. So we had it approved many years ago. Unfortunately for her, it was a bit too late because too many years had passed without this chelation, and therefore it didn't really work for her. But for other patients right now, they are started from a very, very young age, and I'm happy to say that many of them can lead very, very almost normal lives where they can also have families. So to that extent, we've come a long way. But there's another part to it. They are now young adults. They're now with a family. They're still living with the possibility of a short life. Now, when my daughter was diagnosed, she was, like I said, 8 months, and at that time, medicine or the medical profession did not know any better, so we were told that children with this condition usually die in their teens. So when we heard this, it was really a big hurdle to overcome. Now, we had to make a choice with my husband to bring her up as normal as possible, as well as taking care of her medical needs. So that was the challenge that we faced. And it was tremendous because she looked well, she appeared well. As a matter of fact, even a few days before her passing, there were people in the hospital that was, one lady actually approached me after her passing, and she said to me, because I still was visiting there regularly, and she came to me and she says, I must apologize to you. And I said, what for? And she said, well, I apologize to you because my son has cancer. And when I used to see your daughter in the room there, I used to think that you guys were very lucky because my son has cancer. Your daughter still has all her hair, she looks well, you know. And now I heard that she's passed. So I must apologize. My son is now in remission. Your daughter's passed on. That's the kind of thing that we've encountered for 15 years, okay? She passed on 2 months before her 15th birthday. So that was a long time to create that balance that we're now talking about it. And also the holistic way of living. I mean, we had to learn from very young, from very beginning, that the only control that we had was to live, I guess, a healthy life, a balanced life. And that meant proper diet, proper exercise, healthy thinking, stay positive, stay in the moment. Don't think of her death, just think of now. I was asked that big question, and I know what some of you are thinking. What's the big question? About the birds and the bees? She was 4 years old. She asked me, Mom, when am I going to die? And I said to her, Isabel, we all going to die one day. That was not the right answer. She says, she comes up and she says, no, Mom. She stomps her foot. She says, no, Mom, I'm talking about me. When am I going to die? Intuitively, she knew something was wrong. So I tried to be as honest as possible, and I said, well, due to your condition, you may die young, or maybe not. If a cure comes along in the meantime, we don't know. We don't focus on that. We focus on loving each other and just live life to the fullest. So we all adopted that philosophy. Live life to the fullest. So I'm just going to explain briefly, because I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know exactly how it works, but basically what thalassemia is, it's a genetic blood disorder, and it requires both parents to have the carrier gene. And if both parents have the gene, there is a 50% chance that the gene is passed on to your offspring. And then you have a 25% chance that there's no gene passed on, and 25% that they inherit the major form. And I say the major form because they're different. It varies in conditions. You have the minor when, in simplistic terms, of course it's more complicated than this, but in simplistic terms is the minor, you carry the gene. The intermediate, you and you need no medical attention. But in the intermediate, you may require some transfusions from time to time. And over the years, they have found that if these patients are being transfused, they're healthier, and they live, well, much better than in the past. They just used to transfuse them once in a while. And then you have the major form. The major form, you don't mess around. You do require transfusions to survive. I also want to stress that this genetic disorder is not something that you inherit, you get it later on, like say cancer or another form of illness. You inherit it, so it's at present at birth. So you either inherit it or you don't. So it's good to know whether we are carriers or not be ignorant like I was. So this has become my life's purpose, to educate people, because even though many people to this day still don't know much about it, but it is considered to be one of the most common blood disorder in the world. But because we're carrying the silent gene, it's really not visible, and it's not much attention has been given to it. And my mission is to try to draw as much attention to it as possible, and not to be afraid to discuss it, because it has a lot of stigma attached to it. And that was one of the problems that we are still encountering today. So when we heard this news, this diagnosis, of course it was hard. It was very, very difficult. But what it did to my family, it gave us all a common goal. It made us emotionally resilient as a family and as a couple. So through the years, we tried to do things to help out and help others. So in 1986, that's a long time ago, when she passed on, because she had taken a very proactive approach to her health care, I felt that even after her passing, I needed to do something. And so I started the support group in our community. And that was because there were so very few of other patients that I knew about this, that were going through the same situation, that I felt that if the families got to know each other, the patients got to know each other, they kind of exchange information and feel united. Now today, the internet helps, although it doesn't take away that human element. You still need that help each other. So we started this society a number of years ago, and I gave my 110%. And like I said, I feel very blessed, very fortunate that I have a very supportive husband. And he said, you just go and do what you need to do. Well, little does he know, I would have done it anyway. So I went out and I started this support group, but then we had to become a registered society and so on and so forth. It was really very draining on me, so I was to the point of being burned out. So what did I do? I went and did something totally different. I went to get an education, and I worked in the corporate world for a good 20 years. And while staying a little bit further removed from this group, but years went by, and still, not much was heard about this. And so a few years ago, about 6 years ago, I decided to quit my job, which it gave me some sort of, satisfaction to the point where, you bring in a salary and so on, but it didn't feel like it was fulfilling the void, the need. I needed to do something else. And when I saw that still nothing was being done, and this little group was not growing, I decided, okay, I've got to get back into it. So I'm now again their current president. We do a lot of workshops, seminars, and we do fundraising, and we do blood drives, that kind of thing. But I also had to tell the story. I had to tell her story because, like I said before, some of these patients have not gone through the tremendous challenges that Isabella has gone through. And so they need to appreciate as well, and also pass on and help out others that may come along down the road. Help others. Because truly, Isabella was selfless. So I'm trying to convey this message to these patients that they have an obligation to pass on what they're going through and their awareness to thalassemia to others. So this book that I wrote, Isabella's Journey, is of course in her memory, but also I use it as a tool to educate and to speak to others, because I think that we do tend to relate more to other people in a human story than it is to just have statistics. Unfortunately, on this condition, we don't really have a lot of statistics that are collected. So I don't have numbers for you to say it's a high number. We do know that a lot of them are, we have high numbers in certain regions, say the Mediterranean, India, China, all of Malaysia, in certain parts of the world. It's higher. However, Canada and the US find that it's a melting pot, so it's no longer to those countries. It affects everybody. So it's everybody's interest to know what it is and how we can one day eradicate it. That's my dream or my goal. I don't know if, again, it's going to happen in my lifetime, but that's the goal. What we learned also over the years is to not to have pity on ourselves, not to say, why is this happening to me? Why? Again, we were talking about this a few minutes ago. It's life. Life happens. The important thing is that how we choose to deal with it. One of the things that what was happening in those years of extreme uncertainty, do you know that I knew so very little about it that every night I used to open up her bedroom door and check if she was alive or not, because I didn't know how she was going to go. I had read some articles, but really no real concrete evidence as to how it was going to happen. And so if I would see her breathing or snoring, I would laugh and say, thank God, one more day, we're here. So we also use sense of humor. Sense of humor is very, very important. We used to, when I used to drive her to the hospital, she'd say, okay, it's time to go and get filled up again. But then, coming home from the hospital, if everything had gone well, it was a good feeling. It was like life had given us a new lease, another number of weeks with no transfusion. That was wonderful. Everything went well. We enjoyed a lot of vacations, and some of them that we could afford, and some of them we couldn't afford so much. But we felt that that was a must, was a necessity. And I remember at a very young age, we were going to Hawaii, and she just steps into the balcony, and she takes a deep breath, and she says, wow, now this is the life. this is a life, this is beautiful. So that's what she taught us. That life is beautiful. Enjoy it. Because even though she knew that her health, that her life was short and she was not in good health, she remained always considerate and caring. And always thinking of others. One time she was in the hospital, towards the end, one of her teachers came and visited. And she noticed that he was fidgeting in his seat, and she says to me, "Mom, go and take Mr. Smith, show him around." And I go, "He didn't come here to come and go and see the hospital. He came to see you." I said, "No, just show him around." She had figured it out that he was very uncomfortable. He was not used to seeing a young girl, a vivacious individual, to be in the hospital bedridden like that and in so much pain. But even in that condition, she still was thinking of others first. So that's the lesson that my family learned. Get outside of ourselves and let's help others. So like I said, she was well aware of her life being short, but was never bitter. She was not bitter, and she was not spoiled. Rather, she chose to remain always, like I said, very optimistic, vivacious, very much a zest for life. And that's what she's taught everyone around her. Her existence on this earth her physical existence was very short, but very condensed. And we have very many happy memories of her. And I would say that that's the most precious experience that my family has through her. To live a full life. What does it mean to live a full life? It means to make each moment count. You don't have to have an illness to make each day count. Let's not focus on what we have if we're sick. Let's focus how many, or people that have, like say, an allergy. I can't eat this and I cannot eat that. Well, just think of anything, many things you can eat though. How lucky we are. So that's where we should focus on. So again, we've created many happy moments and many happy memories that will last our lifetime. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my silver lining that I choose to focus on every single day. And I wish with all of my heart that everyone here chooses to see their stumbling blocks as life's lesson and focuses on their silver lining. Thank you for listening.
One pose.
Please leave the white form in the front.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Mrs. Marco. Okay, we are currently out of time. We have to be
We will continue for tomorrow session
vacated to 2:30.
for our question answer and interaction session. But please fill out the evaluation forms. And those who want to know who I am, there might be a good opportunity next month. The holistic scientist Karun Dadaji might be with us. So if you are interested, please sign up your name and we will inform you if that thing ever occurs. Okay, thank you so much. You've been a very good audience. And come back tomorrow for the two 2 o'clock, 2 to 6 session we have.
Clubhouse
Will
3.
continue.
Clubhouse 3.
At Clubhouse 3, dining room 2.
And you have given our names to the gate anyway. Yeah, announce कर दो आप.
Yeah, everyone, those who have pre-registered, their names for gate clearance are already given. Huh? Thank you so much.
स्वामी जी ने
देखा ही है
Everybody